Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the virtual session of SST. Class 8th, History, Chapter number 4, Tribals, Dikus and Vision of a Golden Age. Part 2, Half-Yearly Syllabus. Students, till now we have completed the topics. We have read about tribes. What is a shifting cultivation? How did the colonial rule affect the tribal communities? Forest laws and their impacts, tribal revolts in eastern India, the Khon, the Santhal, the Kol, the Munda rebellion, and we have read about Birsa Munda. Moving on to next is about the Basta rebellion. The tribes inhabiting the Bastar region in present-day Chhattisgarh were subjected to large-scale exploitation. उनका बहुत exploitation हो रहा था. Why? Because zamindars and money lenders and the Britishers were forcing them to pay taxes. They were forced to pay high taxes. But in spite of the famines and famines, the earthquake जैसे होता है सूखा पड़ गया या बाढ़ आ गई, तब भी उनको कोई भी कंसेशन नहीं था, उनको टैक्सेस पे करने ही थे. In 1905, almost 2/3 of the forest areas were declared to be reserved under the forest areas. Unable to pay taxes any further, the tribes revolted in 1910, led by Gundadhur. Gundadhur, the British suppressed the rebellion but agreed to reduce the area of the reserved forest. Then next we are going to read about the tribal revolts in northeast India. The first is the Khasis. The Khasis live in the hilly regions between the Garo and Jaintia hills. The British proposed to construct a road which would pass through their region to connect the Brahmaputra Valley and Surma Valley. But the Khasis were feared that the British would capture their land and establish rule over them. In May 1829, the Khasis revolted against the British, led by Bor Manek and Yu Tirot Singh. The revolt ended with the surrender of Tirot Singh. Moving on to next tribal is about the Nagas. The Nagas consist of different tribes such as Angami, Sema, Lotha, Zeme. They were known for their raiding skills, matlab hamla karna. They lived in the region between Assam and Burma. And in 1820, Assam came under the control of the Britishers. And they wanted to prevent the Nagas from raiding the plains. The Nagas revolted, but it was suppressed by Britishers in 1851. The next is about the Kuki. The Kuki tribe live in Lushai Hill ranges of Manipur and Tripura. They hated the Britishers. वो बहुत hate करते थे because उनकी unjust policies थी agricultures को लेकर और labor policies बहुत ही cheap थी. And they have forbidding, मतलब उनको रोका जाता था झुम cultivation के लिए जो उनका main जो था it was a source of earning. They have been stopped from that. They revolted against British in 1829, 1844, 1849. But there was another Kuki uprising under Rani who convinced her people not to pay taxes and which put to an end to the revolt because she was arrested in 1932. The next is the other popular movements in the northeast. Other popular movements में आता है northeast area में under the British rule were revolt of the Mishmis in 1836, the Khamti rebellion in Assam between 1839 and 1844, the Lushais revolt in 1842 and 84. They are all the names of the tribes, different tribes. The revolt of the Setangs in Jaintia Hills and the revolt of Saflas during 1872 to 73. The uprising of the Kacha Nagas of Kachar in 1882 and a women's war in Manipur in 1904. Let's read about the other parts of India, how it was captured by the revolts by the tribals. The first is the revolt of the Naikadas. The Naikadas, a forest tribe of Gujarat, revolted against the British. And they attacked a number of police stations and they wanted to drive British out of India. The next is the revolt of Koya and Khonda tribes. The Koya and Khonda were tribes from Andhra Pradesh. The Koya rebellion was led by Toma Sora. He was a very famous tribal against the British agrarian and forest policies. The Koya revolted against the British in 1840, then in 45, then 61, 62 and 86 under Raja Anantayar. In 1900, the Khonda chief named Kora urged his people to drive the British out of their territory and they led a revolt. Moving on to the last topic is the Bhil revolt. The Bhil tribe still resides in the region of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and MP, Madhya Pradesh. Abhi bhi hain ye tribes. And they revolted against the oppressive agrarian British policies in 1817. They again revolted in 1825. कौन था उस समय लीडर भील रिवोल्ट का? सेवाराम. Similar revolts took place again in 1831 and 46. Another revolt was started by the Bhils of Rajasthan and they wanted to establish a Bhil Raj in 1913. All these Bhil revolts were suppressed by the Britishers. So in the whole of the chapter we have noticed one thing common कि जितनी भी tribals ने setback करने की कोशिश करी है उनको suppress कर दिया गया है Britishers की तरफ से. मतलब वो इतना वॉर्न नहीं कर पाए उन लोगों को. बट स्टिल what was important, they revolted back and told the Britishers that their policies are wrong and they have to take it back. Let's go through the terminology once because there are lots of terms which need to be explained. The tribes means a group of people which are connected with common language, the factor or the culture. Mainstream society means that is viewed most people are conventional. एक जैसे mainstream है. Jhum cultivation I have already explained you is related to the shifting agriculture, slash and burn agriculture. Who are pastoralists? People who move from one place to another with their herds of animals in search of food and water. Secluded means isolated, अलग रहना, अकेला रहना. Intertwined means twinning, एक जैसा, connected closely. Sync, in harmony. Friendly. Resented, felt bitterness, कड़वाहट वो फील करना कि अच्छा नहीं हो रहा हमारे साथ. Amended, कुछ changes लेकर आना. Curtailing, restricting means to stop someone. Agrarian, cultivation of the land. Dispossessed, deprived, मतलब कुछ rights ऐसे थे जो मिले नहीं, वो deprived रहे उससे, that means dispossessed. Bonded laborers who are forced to work for an agreed period of time. Mandated, made compulsory. Implemented, put to and use, किसी चीज़ को इस्तेमाल करना. ज़मींदार्स, landowners. Evicted, expelled, निकाल देना. Usurped, taken over by force, जबरन, जबरदस्ती कोई चीज़ हासिल करना. Resorted, turned to, मतलब resorted दोबारा से उस चीज़ को किसी चीज़ को consider करना. Guerrilla warfare, a type of warfare carried out by irregular soldiers. Their activities include sabotages and raids, जो हमला करने में involved रहते हैं. Military campaigns, a large scale of military operation. So, my dear student, the chapter explanation is over through this part 2 of the video. I want you to kindly go through the chapter. If there is any doubt, we'll definitely discuss in the Zoom session. Till then, happy learning.